Hi, I'm Lisa Jameson. Thanks for joining me here today. I own Lift Performance Enhancement as well as Take a Balance Break. And what I want to talk to you about today is kind of that first information you need before you can really take a balance break with me. Sometimes people wonder if this breathing work, whether this meditation, whatever you want to call it, is a lot of science or a lot of woo-woo or a lot of something else. And the answer is I could probably make it any of those things that you want, but I'm here today to present a little bit of just the science of it all so you'll know why and how I get started and why this is important to me. Although I've been breathing and relaxing for a long time, right? Most of us have. I started offering daily check-ins, just about 15 minutes of breath work, meditation, calling it different things. At the very early stages of the COVID pandemic for the United States. So once most of the US started sheltering in place, I very quickly realized that I needed a timeout. I needed something to discern morning from evening, and I needed something to discern weekdays from the weekend. So I'm still on. You can join me live at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday and several evenings at 7 a week. 7 p.m. each week. But one of the first things I do is to get in, and you'll hear me say access the parasympathetic nervous system, access the vagus nerve, and I just wanted to explain a little bit of that to you. If we look at your nervous system, we know that you've got a central nervous system and a peripheral nervous system. Your central nervous system, quite frankly, is your brain and your spinal cord. So we're going to talk about what goes on in the periphery today, what goes on in the rest of the body. It's called your peripheral nervous system. There's two parts of that. One is called your somatic system, and when you see the word soma, it generally refers to what's going on in your body. So those would be what the sensory and motor things that happen from the spinal nerves. How do I feel something with my fingers? How do I get a message from my brain to move my hand off the hot tea kettle? And then you have your autonomic nervous system. Sometimes I like to think of the autonomic system as the stuff that happens automatically, although that needs a little clarification. So in this autonomic nervous system, you have what's referred to as sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system is getting a lot of talk these days. We talk about trauma, we talk about adverse experiences that happen in our lives. And when we're under stress, we know that the autonomic nervous system comes into play. Most of you have heard this as fight, flight, or freeze. So when you're faced with a stress, and we'll say a danger, but depends what's going on in your life. So let's pretend you are faced with the proverbial saber-toothed tiger. You have to very quickly assess whether you are going to fight or whether you're going to run. In any event, the blood is taken from your body and taken directly to your arms so you can put up a good fight. It's taken directly to your legs so you could run if you need to. Or there's a third reaction, which is called freeze, where your body just kind of shuts down and plays dead. Okay, those are three stress reactions. And when you do that, as the blood flows someplace else, you will be activated to move. Generally speaking, you'll be able to run away from this danger or fight the danger off. Again, that is a fairly automatic system. We say that you're hardwired to do that. The problem is that not everybody likes to come out of that hardwired system, right? Some people say, oh, I'm just type A, right? I'm just stressed all the time. I don't have any more stress than anybody else, therefore it's okay. Or I'm an adrenaline junkie. I really like that rush. The problem is our system isn't designed to hold this rush of hormones, namely adrenaline and cortisol. So our body gets out of balance. Our body gets in the state of discomfort. It gets in the state of dis-ease. And we know that there's a lot of stress-related illnesses. Throw on top of that, now we've been found to be in a pandemic. We have political unrest. We have racial unrest. And we're all kind of dealing with all of those things, perhaps more so than we had in times even a year ago, right? So we know that these systems are on overdrive, and that system that was designed to save our life in the case of an emergency is now slowly ticking away and injuring us, hurting us, killing us. So we need to call in that other, hopefully automatic system called your parasympathetic system. That's the opposite. We refer to that as your rest and digest system. So if the blood has been all shunted to your arms so you can fight, if it's been shunted to your legs so you can run, at some point we have to call that blood back home to do what I like to refer to as center of the body stuff. In the center of your body, think about what we've got. We've got all these internal organs, so digestion occurs there. Your immune system is kind of housed in the center of your body. Your diaphragm, your heart rate, all your important organs, all of your organs are right there. And if the blood is shunted from those organs, you're going to be a little less than healthily. Now, I did say these were all part of these autonomic nervous systems. You are actually wired to have a relaxation response. We just know that you need to practice it, and we just know that it needs to be trained. So if you choose to stay in a state of adrenaline and cortisol all the time, you might just end up there all the time. If you choose to come out of that, it's going to be a little work. But with everything else, with a little work, with a little training, we know that you can get this relaxation response down to quite quickly. We know that you can get rid of that flood of hormones. If you're not really in danger, you can get rid of that flood of hormones within about 3 breaths if you practice, if you train. So the reason that you're kind of hardwired to do this is you have 4 cranial nerves, these nerves that come directly from your brain. These are the ones that we look at if you were to get in a sporting injury, a sporting accident or a car accident. We check in with your brain to see how these cranial nerves are working. There's 4 pairs of cranial nerves that are known for their parasympathetic response. The main one that we talk about is your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is what's called the wandering nerve. It's very long. It goes from your brain all the way down to every organ in your gut. So it kind of checks in with your gut. It checks in with your diaphragm. It checks in with your heart. It sends a lot of messages back to the brain. So it actually informs the brain on what's going on in the body. So the brain can tell the rest of the body what to do. That vagus nerve is assisted by 3 other pairs of cranial nerves. 3, I get it wrong all the time, 3, 7, and 9. Your oculomotor nerve, that would be your eyes, your facial nerve, the condition of your facial muscles, and your glossopharyngeal nerve. You'll hear me talk about where to place your tongue, how clear to make your throat and your breathing. So although the vagus nerve is responsible for 75 to 80% of this parasympathetic response, it's helped by these 3 other nerves, so we don't really want to leave them out of it. So again, this is something that you have to train, and the way that we suspect is the easiest way to train that is a breathing pattern that is in through your nose and out as if you're breathing out through a straw. Not with a big hard puckery face, just in through the nose, out through a straw. What that will somewhat quickly allow your body to do is slow your breathing rate down. And when the breathing rate slows down, the heart rate slows down. And when the heart rate slows down, the breathing rate slows down. And we know that that is really the invitation to get the blood in the body out of the arms and the legs and back to the core to do things like grow, be well, digest food. So again, we like to practice that. I've been offering check-ins. Now it's, like I said, every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. And I will keep those going for some time, but I will hope to keep things posted on my website and on YouTube so you can practice those as well. Sometimes when you practice with me, you will have sounds or music in the background, and sometimes you won't. Please know that if there is a sound playing, it's probably pretty thought out on my part on why I want it there. So sometimes at the bare minimum, I've just put something on that's at about 60 beats per minute is a common practice for me to put something on at 60 beats per minute. So if there's a drum in the background at 60 beats per minute and your heart rate's up around 90 or 80 or higher than it should be, we know that your body will try to sync up with the biggest kind of beat in the room. We know that your body will entrain to what's going on in the outside. So sometimes I use that music just so without telling you too much that your heart rate will slow down. We also know that different tones have a different effect on your body. I like to say those two beats at the beginning of the movie's Jaws, not what I'm going to play when I want you to relax, but we know that there's certain notes when they're played together, they'll have a relaxation response. And then we suspect that there's tones in the body. You'll hear about that, the resonance of love, the resonance of security. So sometimes I've just picked a song because of the key of the music it's in, or you'll hear a sound bowl, or you'll just hear a tone playing in the background. So I hope you enjoy the practices. Please join me live whenever you can, or check out the recordings. They're on takeabalancebreak.com. They are on liftperformanceenhancement.com. Thanks for joining me today.